All right, people, I need a go, no-go for the Geek News Central Podcast. Digital archive recorders.
We're go fly.
Microphone.
We're go fly.
Video feed.
Go.
Web browser.
Go.
RSS data stream aggregator.
Go fly.
Interflux Toddism suppressor.
All right, I'm confused.
Host readiness check.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
Voice print confirmed.
The Geek News Central Podcast is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to go. Cue Todd in
5,
Button, who's got the button?
4,
There is no cause for alarm.
3,
Everybody hold on to something.
2,
Just press the button.
1.
Welcome to episode 1082 of the Geek News Central Podcast. It's Monday, December 7th, a day that will live in infamy. This show is sponsored in part by GoDaddy.com and listeners just like you. Great deals from GoDaddy can be found at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. Or you can support this show today at geeknewscentral.com/insider or simply paypal.me/geeknews. You can always pick up Ohanaware at cafepress.com/Ohana store. Everyone, give a warm welcome to the show. I'm absolutely thrilled to be with you this evening. Got a great show lined up for you. Lots to chat about, lots to share. It's been, it feels like it was yesterday that just doing the last show. Things have been just really kind of that crazy around here. But got lots to talk about tonight, lots to go through, and some new things to share, which I promised to. Cat kind of got out of the bag on one thing today, but I'll talk about that here in a second. But very first thing right off, I want to thank all of you that are longtime listeners and viewers of the show. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being subscribed. Those of you that join us on YouTube in the middle of the night, it's most appreciated that you keep me company here. I do definitely appreciate that. If you're brand new to the show, we want you to take time to get over to geeknewscentral.com, visit the website, grab some content from our website, grab some shows. Got lots of content to get connected with at geeknewscentral.com. There's always something new on the website. And, of course, we want you to, again, while you're there, subscribe to the show. And then very, very simply, get hooked up with the newsletter as well, because I'm going to send the newsletter out immediately following the show. It contains everything that I talk about during this podcast. So we'll get that out for you after the show. And that's it. Hey, geeknews@gmail.com is a place to reach out to me. And then on Twitter at Geek News as well. I'm pushing the right buttons here. You can follow me on Google+, on Facebook, all a variety of social media places. You can watch this show on the Roku, on the Apple TV. You can listen on the Amazon Echo by telling Alexa to play the recent edition of the Geek News Central podcast. You can listen on Stitcher. You can listen on Blueberry.com. And something brand new. You can listen to the show on Live 365 and any one of their about 20 partner sites. I'm really, really excited that today, and for many of you, this is this morning, Tuesday morning, we will officially launch something brand new called Podcast to Radio. And this is a raw voice initiative with my team at Blueberry. And really, it's part of our initiative, of our ever-expanding universe of podcast distribution. We've partnered with Live 365, a worldwide audio streaming network. Blueberry and Live 365, again, are introducing Podcast to Radio. And it's streaming internet radio for podcasts. Podcasters who sign up for Podcast to Radio will immediately have access to the millions of listeners that stream content every day. And what it's going to move us into, radio directories, the iTunes Internet Radio Directory. We're not there yet. We'll be soon. TuneIn, Windows Media Guide, Receiva, the radio side of Apple TV, Fire TV, Roku, Sonos, Kindle Fire, Western Digital Media Players, Grace Digital, Aha, they're big in Dash, Pioneer, big in Dash, and of course mobile apps like Android and iOS devices. So really what we've done, and it's a little different experience because you don't catch the show from the beginning. You catch the show wherever it just happens to be in playback. And I will be, after the show tonight, I'll be updating the playlist and putting my show and a couple of the other shows here with the Geek News Central family up on the Live 365 server. And what that really does, and I don't expect any of you that are actually listening and subscribed to the show to do this, is that it gives us exposure to brand new listeners. And many of them are listening right now. So those of you that are, I want to encourage you to get over to geeknewscentral.com and subscribe to the podcast and catch it the way it's meant to be. But we hope that you're listening right now on that new venue. We're excited about being in a partnership with Live 65 to do this. And my show and a couple of others were kind of the, I guess for a better word, guinea pigs. We haven't been talking at all, and I haven't shared with any of you. I told you that the show was somewhere else, and no one put 2 + 2 together. But we've had about 5,000 people per day been sampling anywhere from 5 minutes to 20 or 25 minutes of the show on the Live 365 and all their digital distribution partners. So very, very exciting stuff for us to make this basically this jump to internet radio without really any pain, and that's the most important part. But all the partner shows at Geek News Central are in the mix. So I've been playing stuff from the Gadget Professor from Health Tech. Well, actually, not from Health Tech Weekly because he's a video show. The Elder Divide and then No Better Than Average have been putting their stuff in the lineup and looping it. So it's been fun to watch some of the people that do the live streaming have the ability to kind of do online immediate feedback, plus or minus. And so far, I'm kind of watching that too. It's kind of like this instant gratification to let people know what they think of the content. So it's pretty cool. So very, very excited about where we're at in this new distribution piece. Again, it is strictly a distribution play. It is at a price, $69.95, I think, a month is what the cost to be on the platform. But you get in so many different, I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, at least 16 different distribution platforms. So it really grows the ability for people to find Geek News Central wherever they be, whatever type of, wherever they're listening. Very, very cool. So let me go ahead and move on from that. But that was kind of the big reveal on where our shows were at. Press releases are going out in just a few hours. But the folks over at rain.com picked the news up today, got the exclusive release on it. We updated the website with the partner pages, and we'll be sending a newsletter out to all our content creators that we work with, letting them know of this new opportunity. So don't be surprised if your favorite podcasts are out and about in the on live streaming radio now. And if you hear someone on one of those live streaming platforms, please let them know that you heard them over there, so that they can essentially justify the cost of doing that every month. Okay, again, our partner shows No Better Than Average, Health Tech Weekly, Gadget Professor, The Elder Divide, and of course the Pro Gear site with just regular tech content, and the GNC writing team. Of course, we want to thank our sponsor tonight, the longest running to newest sponsor of any single podcast known to man, and that is our good friends over at GoDaddy.com. I want to thank GoDaddy for being a longtime sponsor here. And they have always, they continue to support us with great deals. Got to November numbers. We were a little down. Nothing too crazy. But need you guys to start sharing the codes. Please share the codes. Link to them. Link to my site. Tell people about the discount codes that we have over here. That keeps us in line with everything and make sure that the light bill doesn't get behind. But definitely want to thank everyone that is supporting us and using GoDaddy products and services over at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. But we've got, again, the 30% off code. We've got 99cent.coms. We've got $1 a month for 12 months, either website builder, economy hosting, or manage WordPress. I do want to give you guys an update. My daughter, she has all by herself, and she had basically said, and we've been talking about this back and forth, and she was thinking about, do I buy a domain? What do I do? And I'm like, listen, here's what you do. Told her to go over to geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy, and she was going to I told her to get the Manage WordPress hosting account. I said, just click on the link. It'll take you to GoDaddy. It'll lock in the price. Don't get the, real expensive account. Get the low one because you're just getting started. And she went step by step through it. In about 15 minutes, she had her blog up. And this was like 12:45 in the morning last night. And she's all excited, and I'm trying to sleep, coming in, bouncing around, and, woohoo. And so I think her website, and I probably better not tell it, but I think it's wahooanna.com, I think is her new website. And again, I don't know how far along she's got on it, because, again, this happened in the middle of the night last night. But she was able to get her site. Let me look. Is it ready? No, website is still under construction, so she's not quite ready yet. But she was able to get in and start. When I told her, you need to work on your templates. You need to get your. So we kind of went through some of the stuff, but she got all the setup done, from getting her account set up and everything all by herself, and walked right through the GoDaddy process. So if she can do it, there is no excuse. All of you can do it easily. Once you get online, all right, get yourself a WordPress site or get you an economy hosting site. If you're a business owner, get Website Builder. And get over and use my code. Share my codes with your friends, family members. It's Christmas time. It's time to share and hook a brother up. Hook your geek up. Link to us, please, please, please. All right? Okay, so let me go ahead and move on here and get into the rest of my little short note stuff. I do want to show you guys something. Let me see if I can get this so it's not being annoying me. So I told you guys that I got an Osmo, right? And some of you are like, what is an Osmo? Well, and I don't know if I showed it to you in the last show. If I have already, I'm sorry. But some of the accessories came, and let me show you Osmo. So those of you that are, let me see if I can take a snap here. Let me hold it. Let me do it. Great. So let me smile, and I'll see if I can use that in the post show tonight. But Osmo is a gyro stabilized camera, and it's brought to you. And I'm going to turn it here. It's brought to you by the folks at DJI, the same folks that have the drones. And so, for those of you that are listening, what I'm holding is it's basically a stick with a gimbal on top with a camera, and I've got the ability to move the camera up, down, sideways, and it has an onboard micro SD card that I can just click record on. But what's even cooler, it's got this little mount here that opens up, and you stick your iPhone in it, and you can watch what the camera's seeing. But it's also got this cool feature that if I double click, let's see here. Oh yeah, there we go. Triple click, it'll actually go into selfie mode. It'll actually turn around. And then I just double click, and it brings it back to center. So this, I've been shooting some video with this and doing some outdoor stuff, and I'm really loving the video that comes off it. It's not 100% perfect, but it's an amazing 4K camera. It really is. And I was using it in the car while we were driving around and doing some stuff, and had a lot of fun with it. So if any of you, I'll get some videos up and I'll share them with you. But if you're looking for a gift for someone that's got everything, the DJI Osmo is the way to go. And I've got a little extension stick with a tripod for it and some other stuff. All these parts disconnect off the side. It's got attachments that disconnect. The battery lasts about an hour. I've ordered one additional battery for it, but it's pretty awesome. Now, if you rotate it too far, it kind of naturally follows you. You go too far, it doesn't stay. But if you stay, if you're in a general area, it does a pretty good job of staying on focus within reason, or staying on frame within reason. But it's got the ability then when you secure it, it's got a locking mechanism so that you actually lock it in 3 different axes. And let's see here. There we go. So, whoops, is that right? No, is this the right one? Oh, I'm in the wrong position. There it goes. So there's where it locks. And it's got a little lens cover, and it folds down into a nice tight package. So I told you guys a little bit about Osmo. I've been playing with it, really enjoying. This is going to go with me on my trip back to the East Coast for my shirt run back there, and I'll be doing some video with it. But anyway, that's one of the things I've been messing around with here a little bit. As well as this weekend, stayed pretty busy, but we had Christmas shopping on Sunday. And Christmas shopping around here for my wife and I is, I needed a new suitcase. She needed something, real practical stuff, nothing special. When you're geek and you've got all the toys you need already, you're really not into buying geek stuff. So my Christmas stuff is a suitcase. So we had a CS planning meeting on Saturday. We've got everything in line except for one more thing we have to do with the booth. Got to get electricity ordered. Internet's been ordered. I actually ordered Geek News Central shirts. The trophy's been ordered, so we're ready. Everything's getting shaped together to actually talk with the team. I don't think we're going to need to meet one more time, but we're getting a live blog ready. All these little things we have to get in place to ready to crank out 250 interviews over 5 days for all of you. So we remain laser focused on the event. Going to have 19 people on the ground in Vegas. It's going to be crazy. I think we're going to have 4 floor teams. So there's just going to be an ungodly, but the show has grown so big. We're just, I think we're going to dedicate one team to being in like one area the entire time. It's going to be crazy. But again, looking forward to bringing CS coverage here. Really, the fun begins not that long from now. We're basically about 3 weeks and a few days before I load up and actually fly out to Vegas. So anyway, that's where we're at on that. I've been chit-chatting way too long on normal stuff. For those of you that are listening, come watch the video on the little Osmo to check it out. All right? Check that part of the video from the show out. And I think that's all I have in my stack. Let me close that. File save. Let me go back. And I don't know how much email we've been getting. I haven't been paying too close attention. Today is the 7th of December. And is there anything else in here? Yeah, not too much emails coming in. So that's okay. Got lots of cool stuff to talk about in the show tonight so far as what's going on in the tech world. So let me go ahead and roll right over into that. And I want to start off with a story that may surprise you. Maybe not. Maybe it's you at all thinks common sense. There's a lot of safety features in vehicles today. And one of the more helpful safety features found in new vehicles is their ability to call emergency services after an accident. It turns out it's also good for catching hit-and-run drivers. This all played out in Florida, where allegedly a hit-and-run driver by the name of Kathy ran into a truck, then smashed into a van before leaving the scene of the accident. The hit-and-run suspect didn't realize that her car wasn't so keen on bugging out before calling the authorities. The Ford Sync 911 Assist alerted the emergency services, and shared time and GPS information about the incident. While the feature found on cars from Ford, BMW, and others is meant to call 911 after an accident where the driver is incapacitated, it apparently is a great way to find people that get into accidents and take off. Bernstein was contacted by authorities about the automated 911 call and asked if she fled an accident. Her response was, "No, I would never do that." Even with that compelling statement, the police arrested her under suspicion of hit and run. So it must be that her airbag's probably deployed, and I don't know if she had been drinking alcohol, but she'd hit another vehicle after the first accident, so something was going on. But it's designed to, when you get in an accident, to if you can't make a call, it makes the call for you. So this is an interesting case study. I guess I use that word. This is an interesting case study. I don't think we've heard of something like this in particular happening anytime lately. Maybe they've used the car's tracking system to find out where a vehicle is or something like that when someone's lost or kids missing. But I don't think we've run into a situation where someone has gotten arrested because of a hit and run. So I guess if you're going to do hit and runs, you should buy a vehicle that doesn't have some 911 assist information or 911 assist technology in it. Now, what do you guys think of that? I know we're all responsible, and if we got in an accident, we wouldn't leave the scene. I know we're all very good citizens. But, if this lady was impaired, I'm not saying she was, but if she was impaired, she would, she may have done that and understood that she faced bigger consequences. So, it is and not make it right, but at the same time, people make mistakes. So, instead of probably taking her punishment for the accident and maybe being impaired, which again, we don't know if this is the case, she's in much, much deeper trouble. But maybe she was willing to take the hit and run charge. I can't imagine that being any less than DUI. I would think that would be worse. So I just never know what goes through people's heads. But it just goes to show you the little black box, the little information about vehicles being smart, pretty doggone smart. Same thing with cell phones. Cell phones are getting pretty doggone smart. I know my wife, when we're getting ready to drop the kids off for school now, first thing she does is load Google Maps. She says, okay, going down H1 is faster, or going down Farrington Highway is faster to take kids my son to school. And 9 out of 10 times, that's exactly the case. So I think we're in it, but it's also pretty scary that the phone knows my route. So that's one of the things that we're having to, I guess at this point, start to deal with, right? From a society standpoint, I understand we're being tracked a lot more. Over in BusinessInsider.com, they've got a great story about San Francisco-based Gigster. It's a 2-year-old startup that graduated from Y Combinator Accelerator program earlier this year. Has what sounds like an obvious concept. It connects freelance programmers with companies that need them. But there's a lot more going on under the hood with Gigster. The way Gigster works is simply, as a customer, you write in plain English what you want your app to do. Then Gigster analyzes your requests, put figures in the best team for the job, including programmers, program product managers, designers, and gives you a flat quote with a guaranteed price. In short, it's a push button to get software. Now, I was very lucky to have an Ohana mentor here, Mr. Sam Garcia, that has got our app shipshape, and right now it's just waiting on me to get the last steps done. But this is a situation where a company can go and say, I want this built, and they come back and says $25,000, and the company writes a check, and they get an app. Well, it's so popular that they've gotten some serious, they've had venture capital firm Anderson Horowitz has led a $10 million Series A round in them. And this is basically they're attracting programmers that are, working for a company by day, and they're writing some code at night. Now, a lot of companies don't allow that, but allow it, and I'm sure probably some of these guys fly under the radar. And there's a lot of freelance programmers as well that don't want to be in a 9-to-5 office as well. So, very, very cool business model. Gigster. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Of course, Silicon Valley, where all the brainiacs are to make that happen. So, all of us are spending a lot of time on either Amazon Prime or on Netflix. I find myself on Amazon Prime now more than I do on Netflix. It's just because I'm not, finding as many movies I want to watch on Netflix right now. And it goes in waves. But streaming video services now comprise 70% of Americans' internet use, which means, quote unquote, that hardly anyone is using BitTorrent anymore. According to the results of a survey by broadband service company Sandvine, Netflix is ascendant with 37% of downstream traffic. Nipping at its heels is YouTube at 18%, Amazon Video 3%, iTunes at 2.8%. And this has been a massive year for streaming market, which has more than doubled its percentage of internet traffic in the last 5 years. So here's the interesting part. So downstream, Netflix obviously is number one. BitTorrent is down by 2.67%. But upstream traffic, in other words, amount going out, BitTorrent wins hands down by 28.5%. If you aggregate that together, right now, BitTorrent is ranked number 4, sitting at 4.35% as an average for the amount of traffic that's going over the net. So that's very interesting here. BitTorrent once occupied 31% of the total internet traffic in 2008. And again, this year it occupied 4.3%. So piracy, by this case, is way, 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 way down. So it's kind of an interesting move, yeah? Interesting move indeed. And we'll have to see where this leads. But I know, my kids right now are watching Hulu, and they're watching Heroes Episode 1. Of course, my son's mad because you can't get Episode 2 for some reason. The other episodes are there. I don't know if it's because they're rolled off or what's happened. But I told him we'd have to go buy Episode 2 and then get caught up so we could watch the rest of those. So, we're just using a lot of streaming services. We're not, we go to HBO, and I think, as I've indicated, we're ready to cut the cord again. Hey, there's a good article, speaking of cord cutting, there's a good article over on cordcutting.com. It's an interview with Roger Lynch, CEO of Sling TV. And it kind of goes into some of the warnings about, hey, we've been telling Congress for a while here about the concern about Comcast and so forth, doing the deed here and stopping people from having unlimited bandwidth. So one of the questions they asked the Sling CEO says, what about concerns? Are there any problems on the horizon for Sling TV? He says, well, I think one of the areas we're quite focused on is what's happening in Washington, D.C. around net neutrality. We see concerning things happening if you look at the cable companies like Comcast now instituting data caps. That just happens to be at the level at or below what someone would use if they're watching TV on the internet. At the same time, launching their own streaming services that they say don't count against the data cap is something we've been warning Washington about for years, and it's a risk to over-the-top television in general. We're net neutrality proponents and want to make sure that rules are implemented so that it really is a level playing field for new players like us. And he goes on to say, what do you think streaming cable landscape will look in 5 years? And he says we tend to think about it like when satellite came into the TV landscape 20 years ago. Cable has grown to 65, 75 million customers, something like that in the U.S., and it's the only game in town. And then satellite came in over the top, really, and grew to about 35 million households. Cable declined somewhat, but the overall market increased, and that's because of all these people in rural America. And now we're thinking that streaming services like Slim are the next to go over the top, and will probably do a similar thing. So that's it's an interesting article to read. And as a content consumer, and I don't know what you're using and what services you're connected to right now, but these data caps by Comcast and these other companies are talking about are real concerns that should just scare you a lot. And if you're not taking my advice and speaking out, calling your congressman, talking to people in the community, then we're going to end up with something that we don't want, something that's going to be forced upon us. We have to keep the battle on, pitch battle against the cable companies to, stop this slide into capping data. It's just not a good thing. In an ominous warning, NASA has issued a warning to private space companies. The agency is moving on from its focus on low Earth orbit. William Gersmeyer, chief of human flight, said, "We're going to get out of ISS as quickly as we can. Whether it gets filled in by the private sector or not, NASA's vision is we're trying to move out. This leaves a void for the private companies building rockets to supply the International Space Station. NASA says it would like to see private space industry take over low Earth orbit, although it acknowledges that any successor space station or orbiting module will be far smaller, the $140 billion space station, which is a collaboration between 15 countries. The message from NASA to the U.S. industry is simple. We're serious about the commercialization of low Earth orbit. We have this marvelous facility available with unique capabilities, and we want you to use the heck out of it." And I had thought about that for a second, and I'm like, whoa. Does that mean they're going to allow SpaceX and Boeing and all these other companies that are in a race to space? Are they going to allow them to rent or use the International Space Station in some way? That is really a big statement, folks, what they have said here. That's a wowzer moment. We know that NASA's looking beyond. And we know that probably by 2020, NASA wants to be off the International Space Station. But we got a $140 billion space station, while expensive to operate, is up there turning and burning. Of course, you're going to have to figure out how you're going to make this happen, how you're going to interact with the 15 other countries that have a stake in this thing. Are they going to let? Well, the Russians are already doing, bringing up people that want to come up, but they only stay a few days and go home. What are we looking at here? Do you think that SpaceX and all these other groups have got the cash? Because that's an expensive animal up there, just to get stuff up. Do you think that they want a shot at this thing to do science and, have sponsored by SpaceX on the side of the ISS? Does this mean that you and I have an opportunity to go to the International Space Station if we have enough cash? Those are all very good questions. So I'm really I'm very interested to see where this is going to lead. I really do. And I understand where NASA wants to go. And really what they want to do is that's a big churn on cash. If they're going to go to the next level, and with the limited amount of budgets that are out there, they got to reel some stuff in, to make up that dollar deficit so that they can go do bigger things. So it's obvious they think they've learned enough. But it makes you just wonder just a little bit, doesn't it? So very, very, very cool story. Very cool statement. All right, Denmark's largest torrent site is closed to protect their users. They say that NextGen, which had been in operation for more than 4 years, offering a broad range of content, including the latest movies and TV shows, decided the heat got a little bit too hot for the site, and they were worried about probably some people going to jail and some community members being exposed. So they closed the doors. And it's a pretty interesting move by the website. They voluntarily pulled the plug to quote-unquote protect their users. I was, as I search for articles all the time, I'm coming across stuff, and I saw this title of an article that really intrigued me. It was how to make your commuting between work and home more productive. Well, for me, it's how to make your commuting between home and school more productive. And guess what the number one thing on the list was? Listen to podcasts. I had to laugh. The other things were for most people that ride the bus or the train, but it made me smile to see that as the number one thing. So the website is getting 2 thumbs up. It's dumblittleman.com is the website. So bravo for having number one to listen to podcasts. If you're Windows users, Microsoft gives you superpowers to make anything on Windows disappear. And so there's some pointers, some tips on how to basically, hide stuff. How to organize and hide stuff, and how to make stuff not appear anymore. Sometimes I wish I could make stuff appear. Sometimes I have troubles in Windows 10 finding stuff, especially on my laptop. My laptop was, in matter of fact, I'll save it, but I got a little thing to talk about my Dell XPS 13. I'll talk about it in just a minute when I get to the article. But and it relates to this Windows 10 article. But some cool tips here. I'm always learning new stuff about Windows 10, and it's evident I need to learn more. All right, China wants robots to replace millions of low-paid workers. Well, they want to do that here in the United States as well. The $15 an hour thing in Seattle and different locations across the country, we see how that's turning out. McDonald's and a variety of other companies are automating. Basically you're going in self-serve. You're taking, and probably we're going to get our orders delivered more accurately than what we do if we go to the counter and order or through the drive-thru. But China wants to, they're laying the groundwork essentially for a robot revolution by planning to automate the work currently done by millions of low-paid workers. And, this is what we went through in the United States. The industry modernized and robots replaced workers. And I've always told that story about, the auto workers who, because of their union rules, their jobs were protected if they were replaced by a robot. They basically had to show up at the company, sit at a picnic table all day. As long as they showed up, they got paid, even though a robot was doing their job. But there was a exposition that was showing off a lot of the robots. But there's a prediction that China will account for more than a third of all industrial robots installed worldwide by 2018. That's a pretty amazing number. Of course, with the tragedy in the radical Islamic terrorist attack in San Bernardino, California, last week, which was just simply, it was horrible. I didn't talk about it on the last show, but it's just, it's evident that we are, this ISIS and these folks that want to bring harm to not only people in Paris and the UK and any other almost Western. Is Paris considered a Western country? I don't know the exact definition of that, but I'd assume so. Any place that is living the type of lifestyle that we do here in the United States, they don't like that, and they want us to go away. And so I knew, it was either going to be number one, some sort of gun laws, and then we're not going to talk about that at all, or if it turned out to be domestic terrorism, or number two, if it was radical Islamic terrorist, that we were going to have the privacy discussion again. So the president, in his speech on Sunday, hints at renewed pressure on encryption. Presidential candidate Hillary Clinton is as well kind of waving off the First Amendment. So in his speech on Sunday, the president basically said the fight against ISIS is where he is going to, I will quote what he says, "I will urge high-tech and law enforcement leaders to make it harder for terrorists to use technology to escape from justice." And that was what he said. Meanwhile, again, presidential candidate Hillary Clinton gave a talk at the Brookings Institute where she urged tech companies to deny ISIS online space and waved away concerns about First Amendment issues. She says, we're going to have more support from our friends in technology world to deny online space, just as we have to destroy ISIS would-be caliphate. We have to deny them online space, she said. Now, we have a lot of people that listen to this show, a lot. And I have many friends that I've known for many years who are of the Muslim faith. I have broke bread with them. I have sat in their house. I have done business with them. I was traveling to Bahrain. There was a business owner that I got to know very well. I used to buy jewelry from him. Met his family and his wives. Absolutely wonderful people. And give you the shirt off his back. So don't take it the wrong way if I make a reference to radical individuals, because that's what they really are. Because I have many friends who are of the Muslim faith that I know are as appalled as I am to the things that have been happening. I think we have a situation now, and maybe we all already knew this. In one instance, I'm torn because I want to make sure that we get the bad guys and get them before they kill innocent people. And at the same time, I think we're all concerned about maybe what some would consider overreach. So, what do you guys think? Are you willing to, and this is a homework assignment for all of you, and we can leave the reasons why behind and just talk about the First Amendment issues and the security of our communications. Are you willing to give that up for the ability of the U.S. government to widely be able to easily track these bad elements. It's complicated. It really is. In one hand, we all want freedom of speech. And I don't think freedom of speech is going to be affected. But we also want our privacy rights. It is one of those situations where you're damned if you do and damned if you don't, right? Are we going to have to accept that due to this ongoing threat of individuals who care nothing more than to just walk in and blast away, are we going to have to accept as Americans that our government needs more access to more information? Now, I know there's some, I'm sure many of you are on both sides of the fence here on this. You're trying to figure out, okay, I don't want this, but I want this. But maybe if you want one thing, it can't happen without the other being compromised, right? The president's comments were clearly related to end-to-end encryption, which is now a common method to assure people that anyone intercepting communications will simply see a series of random characters. And we know that the FBI Director James Comey has been on the circuit. It's going to come to a head. Something's going to happen. The Congress is going to have to do something. And I think what we'll end up having is will we go back to post 9/11? Maybe we've never left post 9/11. I don't know. Or will we go back to the post 9/11 times where anything is game? It's an interesting discussion. But I'm just asking each one of you, no matter where you come down on this particular topic, I think we all can agree we don't want individuals like this doing what they do ever again. These lone wolves. I don't know if we can stop them, but we can keep our eyes open, that's for sure. Love to hear your thoughts, and I'm sure this is going to dredge up some comments and thoughts and emails, and that's what I want you to do. I want you to email me here, geeknews@gmail.com, and let me know what you think. And again, heart goes out to those families that lost their lives in San Bernardino, and just tragic. It really, there's way too many of those stories today. I think what we have to do is we have to realize that bad guys are going to get bad things and do bad things, and we need to be able to, for a better word, protect ourselves in some of these soft targets that are just, that they know that they can walk in and do, extreme harm without much resistance. They're just basically, for a better word, cowards. They wouldn't walk into a police department and try to pull one of those stunts. If they did, it wouldn't end well. But anyway, it's too political to really get too deep into this show. But again, hearts go out to those families in California. All right, moving on here. Bentley, among other companies, will not be attending the Detroit 2016 North American International Auto Show. So a number of companies, Bentley's the fourth automaker to leave Cobo Hall for this year, following Mini, Jaguar, or Jaguar Land Cruise, Jaguar Land Rover, and most recently Tesla Motors. So those folks are not going to be at the Detroit Auto Show. If you're going, They're basically saying we're going to focus on local community events. So pretty smart by them, maybe. Conventions aren't always the place where the real action happens. All right, Verizon apparently is not opposed to the idea of acquiring Yahoo or parts of Yahoo. So we'll see if Verizon buys Yahoo. Google has enabled Chrome safe browsing on Android by default. So if you're a Droid user and you're using the Chrome browser, you now get automatic warnings if you go to a site that is not so nice. It gives you a little bit of warning. So there's a heads up. You know, I'm always wanting to make sure that artists are taken care of. And it always angers me that the RIAA, the BMI, all those groups take and also the labels take such a huge percentage of earnings from artists. And, you know, they are investing in them, but they take such a huge percentage that oftentimes small artists aren't left with a lot of money. But there's a good article on The Verge talking about Spotify's year in music, showing how little is being paid to artists for their music. And it breaks down by average per play rates. One individual's look back at his year of usage. He says, my top artist of the year was Built to Spill, whose songs mostly from There's Nothing Wrong with Love, I streamed 267 times over the course of 2015. Using the upper limit of Spotify's estimated payout, that would be 267 times 0.0084 cents, which means I paid Built to Spill somewhere around $2.24 for an entire year of music. And that's $2.24 distributed among the music's rights holders, which includes the labels and publishers. So the band is getting even less than that. My most streamed track of the year was The Dream. That's my beep, and I'm sure Terrace Nash appreciated the 27 pennies that earned him. I listened to 13,000 minutes of music on Spotify this year, which means I paid around 1/10 of a cent per minute, and I'm paying Spotify $10 per month subscription fee. If I were relying on its free ad-supported tier, the payout for artists would be even smaller. So it just goes to show you that these micropayments that these artists are getting from all this usage doesn't add up to a lot. And he gives some other examples. He says, well, maybe artists, we need to start going back and buying albums. But then again, even when you buy an album, again, it's all divvied up. It's, you know, there's 6 or 7 pieces that get divvied out before the artist finally gets a check. Or if they've got an advance like they do in books, they'll maybe, you know, pay against their advance. But it is a good article, and it kind of breaks down the economics of streaming, especially you know, the music from Spotify, Pandora, and so forth. All right, I want to talk about my Dell XPS 13. On the for the most part, I love the laptop, but the last couple of times, and it's my own fault. So I've used it. I've had some challenges. It was in my bag, in my computer bag, for like 3 weeks. So ever since I got back from my travel, it's been in my computer bag. I hadn't charged it. It turns out I hadn't even shut it off. It was still in standby. Couldn't believe it still booted up. But I had the most difficult time connecting to Wi-Fi signals that I just connect to all the time off easily. The machine was trying to do virus update, malware update, Windows update, such and such update, all at the same time when the internet wasn't disconnected, and it just kind of came to a freeze. And I think it was just all these processes that were kind of backlogged that needed to get done, and it didn't help. At the time, I'd left the house and went to a car dealer to have my vehicle worked on, and I was, hey, there's some free Wi-Fi from the car dealer. Let me get connected to that. It was like a reboot. And of course, then it was like, oh, we're applying updates. 20 minutes later, I'm like pounding my head on the table thinking, my God, I should have been working 18 minutes ago. And it really, normally when it boots up, bam, I'm logged in, rock and roll, ready to go. I learned one thing here with Windows 10. It needs internet connectivity a lot. If you leave your laptop in your bag for a couple of weeks, and it was my own fault because I knew this, take it out the night before. You're going to go somewhere. Reboot it. Get it connected to the internet. Plug it in. Make sure that it goes through its updating viruses, updating malware, all that stuff so you don't get into trouble like I did, where everything was trying to do something on an internet connection that probably couldn't support it. You get my drift. But Dell has redesigned the XPS 13. It's still, in my opinion, even though I had this little trouble with the OS, not the laptop, it's a fantastic laptop. So if you're looking for something that is similar to the Mac Air, and weight, power, screen resolution, all that stuff, you want to look at the Dell XPS 13. Okay? It's just, you guys remember, I got it from Dell as a review unit. I went through it, fell in love with it. I moved from a big 17-inch laptop to this particular, form fit, changed really everything, and really with no sacrifice whatsoever. So they made some updates. The trackpad is improved. There's been some updates to the battery conditioning, a whole bunch of stuff. So this thing is like off the chart, fantastic. If you're looking for one, cannot speak more highly of this particular laptop. Okay, the Dell XPS 13. Remember, it doesn't come in an i7, so you can't. Or I don't think you can order one in i7. So just understand it's great for work, maybe not great for like doing video editing. Japan's Akatsuki spacecraft is finally in orbit around Venus. After 5 years getting there 5 years late, they used the satellite's thrusters instead of the main engine because they broke the main engine 5 years ago to basically establish an orbit. They'll know in a few days where they're at elliptically. But they were supposed to be like 5,000 miles off the surface, or 40,000 miles off the surface, and they're going to be about 300. So the science that they're going to be able to do is going to be different. But they apparently are in orbit. So congratulations to them being around the orbit of Venus. At the same time, there was a little exercise done. A young boy was interested in sending a letter to Mars. So he asked the UK Royal Mail and NASA to determine how much it would cost to send a standard letter to Mars. NASA's response was that carrying Curiosity rover to Mars cost about $700 million. That was the program cost to get it there. But based on how much a spaceship weighed compared to how much it cost, they said something weighing about 100 grams would cost around $18,000 to fly to Mars. So not an insignificant amount that if you're going to mail something to Mars from the UK, that's about what it would cost you. All right, NASA astronaut Scott Kelly is in the middle of spending some time on the International Space Station. As a matter of fact, a year. And he was able to catch a photo of the Cygnus spacecraft launch. This is a pretty awesome picture, and it shows this real cool, essentially jet trail from behind the cargo craft. And let me wrong button here. Let me switch that. So I'll have the link up in the show notes, but you can see it. You can see it under power coming. It's really a cool picture. So anyway, the resupply is on the way. I missed the launch. I knew they were delayed for weather initially, so it's obvious that they got to orbit. So good for them. All right, senators are calling for mandatory data retention for telcos following the Section 215 shutdown. Senator Tom Cotton, Republican, Arkansas, and Angus King, Independent in Maine, on Thursday introduced a bill requiring telephone companies to notify the government if they plan on altering their policies for storing consumer phone data. The new bill from King and Cotton would force companies to give the Justice Department at least 180 days' notice if they plan to retain the call records for less than 18 months. The bill is called the Private Sector Call Record Retention Act. It says our legislation would simply require that U.S. officials be provided with adequate warning if a company decides it will no longer hold these vital records for 18 months. So they don't want those records going away. They don't want the ability to be able to see where you've been calling. So that is, we'll see if this gets its way through Congress. A drone operator, boy, oh boy, oh boy, nearly collided with a helicopter. On Saturday night around 9 p.m. in Northern California city of Martinez, a California Highway Patrol officer was flying a helicopter over Highway 4, been on that road, searching for a stolen car. According to SF Gate, speaking to Officer James, spokesman for the CHP, pilot suddenly saw a red light just in front of the craft's cabin window. He swerved the aircraft to the right to avoid a collision with the drone, which was flying in the pilot's same altitude between 700 and 800 feet. Naughty, naughty, naughty. Amateur drone operators are generally not permitted to fly higher than 400 feet. Yes. The pilot then circled back, illuminated the drone with a spotlight. The pilot was able to watch the drone land and give its coordinates to the Martinez Police Department. A Martinez police officer spotted a man carrying a drone into his front yard. The man's information was forwarded to the CHP. He was not arrested. According to reporters from CBS San Francisco, the man was an exchange student from China, and he was flying a DJI Phantom 3 advanced drone. So you have to physically turn off the limits in the DJI software to go above 400. It warns you. It tells you you cannot do this. It's very clear. It still allows you, but it warns you. So this exchange student probably is going to get a letter from the FAA and ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. We'll see if they're able to collect it, being that he's, what did they say? Again, he was a visitor or he was a exchange student. So we'll see where this one leads. But yes, he could be facing a big fine. All right, AT&T plans to offer gigabit internet service in 38 more metropolitan areas. So, if this is you, congratulations. Wisconsin, Milwaukee, Texas, El Paso, and Lubbock, Tennessee, Memphis, South Carolina, Charleston, Columbia, and Greenville, Oklahoma City and Tulsa, Ohio, Cleveland, and Columbus, North Carolina, Asheville, Nevada, Reno, Michigan, Detroit, Missouri, St. Louis, Mississippi, Jackson. I'm reading these like backwards. That's how they have it in the book. Baton Rouge, Shreveport, Jefferson Parish, and North Shore, Louisiana, Louisville, Kentucky, Wichita, Kansas, Indianapolis, Indiana, Augusta, Georgia, Pensacola, and West Palm Beach, Florida, Bakersfield, Fresno, L.A., Oakland, Sacramento, San Diego, San Francisco, and San Jose, California, Fort Smith, Northwest Arkansas, and Little Rock, Arkansas, Birmingham, Huntsville, Mobile, and Montgomery, Alabama. If you're in those cities, AT&T is bringing superfast 1 gigabit internet service to your area. No Hawaii. As to be expected. I don't know why I was reading those the other way. It was how it was listed on the blog post. Every once in a while, someone says something pretty cool and pretty funny. Donald Trump has been busting on Jeff Bezos, specifically over the Washington Post and how it's losing money and how Jeff is having to profit up with Amazon dollars. He says if that Amazon never had to pay fair taxes, its stock would crash and it would crumble like a paper bag. The Washington Post scam is saving it. He says again, the Washington Post, which loses a fortune, is owned by Jeff Bezos for the purpose of keeping taxes down at his no-profit company, Amazon. So, you know what? If you're a business guy and you've got a business that's making money and you've got another business that you own that's not making money, hey, it all equals out, right? In love and war when it comes to paying taxes to Uncle Sam. Let's be real. So, Jeff Bezos has only done 4 Twitter posts since joining in 2008. And he responded to Donald Trump saying, finally, trash by the real Donald Trump. We will still reserve him a seat on the Blue Origin rocket. Hashtag send Donald to space. Oh, you just have to laugh. You really, really do. So, if nothing else, y'all, it's being very, very entertaining. I think we need a little bit of entertainment in politics at this point. The politicians, they've had their tries. We might as well have an entertainer for a few years to be entertained. And I know some of you are cringing, but you got to admit it would be a lot of fun. A lot of fodder to talk about on this show for sure. You know that the talking heads, the radio guys, they are, and the television people, they all want him to win. Because what will happen then is they will have so much stuff to talk about during the first 4 years. Oh my goodness. It'll keep them in business. So, don't be surprised. All right, the Hubble telescope spots a galaxy far, far away. The Hubble and Spitzer have done a tremendous job so far spotting distant objects in space. So, in its dimmest object spotted so far, a galaxy is believed to exist 13.4 billion years ago, or roughly 400 million years after the Big Bang, has been spotted. The galaxy has been named Tanya, but scientists are all crazy about it, and they can't wait to get the James Webb Space Telescope in space, because they say that this new telescope should be able to look beyond Tanya, and or even give us a better look at Tanya. So the scientists are excited. All right, new look for your Twitter.com photos. That's always cropping and doing weird things to the pictures. So Twitter said, no more cropping. We're going to show them as they are, and we're also going to let you do a multi-photo display as well. Thought, that's cool. So we'll see what they allow and what's been changed. On the official Gmail blog, Google Calendar now has to-dos. It tracks to-dos. I know that I have lots of to-dos. Matter of fact, 2 more to-dos to do than I can to-do. Yeah, I'm getting a little punchy here. So, this is welcome. Anything where I can set a reminder that's like, tie your shoes, eat, sleep, between working is good. So, it's a little reminder thing that's been built into Google Calendar. All right. The FCC is in court defending net neutrality rules before a U.S. appeals court. We knew all this was coming. So, anyway, they were in court today arguing why they're right and why the plaintiffs are wrong. So, that's what's going on. Hey, you know about that carbon summit that's going on, right? What city are you guys in? You in L.A. or Chicago or New York? Look up in the sky. Got maybe a little bit of smog, right? Not too bad. Well, parts of Beijing shut down in its first ever smog red alert. Beijing smog is legendary at times, blocking out the midday sun and enveloping the city. But Monday marked the first time officials have issued an emergency red alert concerning the city's air quality. During a red alert, the government recommends schools close up while outdoor construction halts, and half the city's cars are banned from the streets. Vehicles with odd and even plates are barred from driving on alternating days. The amount of poisonous air particles in Beijing was 10 times above the recommended limit on Monday, according to the city's U.S. Embassy. The local CCTV news channel reported over the weekend parts of Beijing had a visibility of just 660 feet. The emergency situation effect from Tuesday morning to midday Thursday. I guess we're going to get a little wind and blow that smog out to sea. Do you think the Chinese care about carbon credits, about greenhouse gases? They don't care. Good article about a gal that's a gadget reviewer and how she really kind of hates even going gadget shopping because she's inundated with so many gadgets. She gets laptops. She's reviewed over 92 laptops since 2008. That's pretty cool. And she says hasn't bought one since that same time. And talking about having to pick out laptops for family members and so forth can be a challenge. So I kind of understand some of that stuff because I get gadgeted out here myself as well. Hey, Netflix is going to double its original programming in 2016. That's awesome. Netflix will deliver 31 original series compared to 16 in 2005. Additionally, the company reported plans to release 10 feature films, 12 documentaries, and 10 stand-up specials for a whopping 30 and a whopping 30 children's programming to enhance its for kids section. They're cranking up the production level, aren't they? They are going to be rivaling some of the big major movie houses for sure. Oh, very awesome. All right, Pirate Bay domain suspended thanks to controversial verification system. If you have a domain, every year you get an email from your domain registrar saying you have to verify your address and your email. And you have to do that within a certain amount of time. Well, apparently some of the piratebay.org did not do that. And currently the domain is suspended. And this article goes into some of these ICANN issues about this and how about 20% of domains are being suspended because people are not verifying them. So if you get a verification email, do not delay, all right? Airbnb just confirmed a Massey's $1.5 billion round. That's incredible. We talked about it a little bit on the last show. So, holy smokes, $1.5 billion. What I could do with those kinds of ducks. Oh, another Donald Trump thing. Donald Trump bought or got access to jebbush.com. So jebbush.com points at the Donald Trump website. I wonder if the person who held it was a friend of Donald Trump or if Donald Trump spent $250,000 to buy the domain. That makes you when you want to have a few political domains, yeah? I think we talked about this already, but former Secret Service agent gets nearly 6 years in prison for Silk Road theft. We know about Sean Bridges and what he did, but again, going to prison for 71 months for stealing $800,000 in bitcoins. Over on kingedeals.com, there's a gadget that it's a pretty cool little gadget. It's got a 6,000 mAh USB battery to recharge your device. It's a travel router. It's a media streamer where you can plug an SD card, hard drive, or flash drive and stream its contents to your phone, tablet, and computers through a DLNA device. $30. Not bad. Pretty cool little device. And that's it. We're done. We're at the end, and I'm long. So no email tonight. The writers on Geek News Central are a little slow. I think what's happened, I think I need to pay them. I think they've sent their invoices, so maybe they're protesting me and not writing because I haven't paid them. But I need to go into PayPal and complete those invoices. We've had some of them working on some other stuff as well. But yes, I always pay our writers. This is about the normal time I do it, so I'm really not behind. But I want to thank all of you for being here. And if you got comments on today's show, which you should, geeknews@gmail.com, geeknews@gmail.com. Of course, we want you to visit geeknewscentral.com. Hey, check out the Live 365 live stream at Geek News Central. And if you have any comments on it, let me know. Or if you catch it someplace you didn't expect you to see it anywhere else, or some device you've got, and you looked it up, and voila, there I was. I'd love to hear from you. Okay, so we're going to get out of here. Everyone, thanks for being here. And we'll see you on, what is today? Today is Monday, so we'll see you on Thursday. Everyone, take care. We'll see you next time. Aloha.